welcome to our podcast where we will be sharing our student stories. From culture on campus to inspiring individuals, we'll give you an insight into our international student community. I'm Fedor, a first-year history PhD student, and today we're going to talk about the international and cultural societies we have on campus. I'm joined by Ancella and Mariam, so please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Ancella. I'm from Indonesia and I'm a final year film and TV student.
Hello, I'm Mariam. I'm from Pakistan and I'm in my final year doing a BA in linguistics.
We know that coming to study in the UK will involve embracing a new culture, but it doesn't mean that you have to leave yours completely behind. At York, we want to help you feel at home as soon as possible, and a key factor of settling into university life is forming strong friendships. You'll definitely meet people through your course and your flat, but joining societies which resonate with you and your culture is another great way to meet like-minded people. So to kick us off, would you just share which cultural societies you're part of?
Yeah, so I've been more closely involved with the Southeast Asian societies on campus. So this includes the Indonesian society, the Singaporean society, the Malaysian society, and I've been to a couple of Filipino ones as well, the Thai society. So even though I'm just Indonesian, these cultures are kind of similar enough for me to feel culturally involved. Whenever I feel a bit homesick, it's kind of comforting to meet up with familiar, friendly people who share similar experiences and maybe come from a more common background.
So since my first year, I've been wanting to go to societies where I can meet lots of people from different cultures. So I joined the committee for the International Students Association, and I also joined the BAME Students Network. BAME stands for Black, Asian, Minority Ethnicity. And I've also been to a few events from the Korean Society.
Sounds very exciting. I love the diverse spectrum of societies that we have here. Ancella, you've been part of several cultural sets at York, and I know that this may be a very difficult question to answer, but which one was your favorite?
This might be a bit biased, but if I had to pick, I'd probably say I really enjoyed my time with the Singaporean society because I've become very close friends with some members during my first year. And it always felt less like a formal society and more of some sort of gathering where I'm just hanging out with friends. I've also gotten the opportunity to be part of their committee in my second year as their secretary and social media officer. And I've got to organize a lot of events, and I've kind of met a lot more people from this society, and I feel just a bit more closer to them.
So you said that your favorite cultural society is the Singaporean society. What does a typical event or a meetup in the Singaporean society look like?
Yeah, our meetups are very relaxed and social. So we have things like movie nights or meals together. We like celebrating different occasions, whether it's a Halloween thing or a Valentine's Day event, maybe even a Chinese New Year dinner. It's nothing too formal, just very fun, friendly vibes. We also occasionally collaborate with other societies, which is always great because it brings even more people in together. And again, as I've previously mentioned, Southeast Asian cultures have a very similar base, I guess, if that makes sense. It's just nice to be with the same people and it's a home away from home.
Well, and for you, Mariam, what was your favorite society experience so far?
I think one very memorable one was when I attended with Ancella. It was for the Korean Society. They had a Korean learning event. I just remember thinking it was very interesting that that was the one society I heard of that did language classes as well compared to others. It was very different. When we got there, the event started. It was very informal. They introduced us to a bit of Korean culture, but I think the best part was meeting people from all over the world who were just there to bond over Korean culture and take the time out to learn the language. It was not by any means a very formal language learning classroom type of thing. I went to just a few of them, but it was very much about learning culturally significant terms. And then people would speak about their interest in K-pop or Korean TV series. So it was just a great bonding experience.
It sure does sound like that. And I heard that the events of the Korean society are very popular, even among people who are not part of the Korean culture. Yeah. Is there anything, and this is a question to both of you, by the way, is there anything that you've done as a part of a society that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, so I was sort of part of the team that organized the first ever Southeast Asian Ball, which felt like a pretty big deal. It was amazing seeing all the Southeast Asian societies come together for an event like that, especially since we've never really communicated during that point. We had games, karaoke, quizzes, and a nice meal together. And this was all held in the Central Hall. It was a very fun bonding experience. I made so many new friends that night, and then I hope everyone else did too. This actually allowed more collaborations to happen between like the different societies that were a part of this big event. The new committee this year even organized like their own Southeast Asian ball. So like I hope that this is like a tradition that kind of happens every year. And I think that's quite cool, and I'm happy to like be the first start to it.
Sounds incredible, and I think I saw the advertising for the bowl around. So no, definitely, congratulations of that. That sounds like a great success. Now, a question to you, Mariam. You've mentioned that you're part of the BAME network and other networks at the university. Can you speak a bit about that? What does that involve?
Networks are a bit different from societies. I think societies are kind of more independently led. Anyone can just go to the students' union and say, we want to form a society, this is our idea, and then they form a committee, they take charge. But networks are under the students' union, so they have elections on a yearly basis, and the entire student body votes for who they want as president of the network. Also, when I say elections, it's not formal at all. Like, there's not a lot of pressure. You just submit your name, and the present committee will just vote. I think when I was in first year, I went to a few of the BAME network and International Students Association. That's also a network, by the way. But I went to their events, and I just remembered feeling like it was a very meaningful experience, and I wanted to get more involved. And so when I heard that they had elections, myself and my friend, we ran jointly for the position of president. And I remember just 1 month of like manifesto preparation, putting up posters, but just that period of promotion was very memorable because we got to meet so many other people who were running for different positions. And then once we did end up getting elected, it was really fun to meet with other committee members and decide on which events we wanted to do. It was also great to get involved in like social media marketing, that kind of stuff. And I think along with obviously the great social aspect of it, getting to meet people, it's also a great thing to have on your CV because you do learn a lot of skills. I talked a bit about getting involved with social media, marketing, networking, that kind of stuff, but it also shows that you have leadership skills and you're able to take initiative. So I would really encourage anyone out there, if you feel like you have a great time participating in society events, maybe also consider running for being part of the committee as well.
Sounds amazing, and it's great to hear from a representative of the university's networks as well as the societies, because I think it's also a very important aspect of interacting with the student body. Now, you've mentioned being in a leadership role in the network. Mariam, have you been in a society role, Ansela?
Yeah, actually, during my first year, I was the social media officer for the Indonesian Society. Then in my second, I was the secretary and social media officer for the Singaporean Society. Starting first with when I was social media officer, most of my responsibilities involved was just like quickly creating promotional materials for events or collaborations that we've planned out. It's a very manageable role and definitely worth the experience. It's nice to kind of like see everything come together and organize an event that everyone enjoys. In the Singaporean Society, I had a boba movie night. We collaborated with Bobalicious for them to like provide free boba for us while we screened Crazy Rich Asians. That was a really high turnout, which was quite fun because it was our first event of the semester, and it was my first event as like a secretary in a committee. And yeah, no, it's just a very rewarding experience in a way.
That does sound really exciting, and I do love boba myself. Not gonna lie. A question for both of you now. Do you meet up with any of the people that you've met through your societies outside of the socials and society events?
Well, we meet each other. A few people that I was on the committee with, we applied as friends. And that's another great thing about taking part, is that you can go take your friends along to get involved, but you also meet friends there who you can keep in touch with later on. So I have made some friends from different parts of the world. Sometimes, I think, was it last year, we went out for Valentine's Day. We called it like Galentine's. But it's just, you meet people there and then you can plan events yourself, or sometimes I've gone along with them to other society events.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Like Miriam said, we've started like going to these society events as a way to like kind of have hangouts. Some of my closest friends are actually from these societies that I'm involved with. We met up often, especially during first year, because everyone lived on campus and it was like just so easy to get together. Society events also like typically happen within university spaces, which like makes it a lot less intimidating to go to because like you know where you are and you know that it's a very safe space. I'd set up study sessions, brunches, like Miriam said, and just like hang out casually with these friends. I also have like a group of close friends from like the badminton club who are a part of these cultural societies, and we'd meet up for these badminton sessions as well. So like we're exercising, we're having brunch, like we're doing everything. And these friendships have lasted like beyond these society events.
Sounds really interesting how, even though you first meet as a cultural society,
Yeah.
which sounds very specific, but then this sort of spreads into other aspects of your life, from going to like brunches to doing some sport and playing badminton together, which is truly amazing. You mentioned meeting at an event of sorts. Can you give us some more detail on that?
So we both met during Welcome Week. We were both ambassadors at the time, but we noticed that we had a lot of similar interests. We're both interested in K-pop and Korean TV series. So we heard that, I think that same week, they were doing Korean language sessions and we were both interested in the language. So we went to that one first, and then we just decided to make it our thing to explore like whatever cultural societies there are. Like Ansela said, she's from Indonesia and she's part of a lot of Southeast Asian societies. So yeah, we just went from there.
Yeah, I think that's how like our hangouts started at first. Like we worked together, and then she messaged me out of nowhere saying like, "Hey, is this something you're interested in?" Because I've briefly mentioned being interested in like learning a new language. And then I went with her, which was a lot less intimidating because going alone can be kind of scary because you don't know if like everyone has their own group of friends or if anyone would approach you and stuff like that. So like the fact that I came with Miriam was really reassuring. And then from then it just kind of like grew into a deeper friendship where we just kind of like talk about other things in our life. Like I didn't expect it to go this far. I thought I would just be learning a language with somebody.
All sounds really exciting. Now, just to wrap us up, a question that's open to both of you. Do you have any advice for prospective students who are thinking of joining an international or cultural society but just aren't sure if it's for them?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it can definitely feel intimidating at first, especially when you've arrived in like a completely new country. I had that same fear, wondering if like people had their own friend groups or whether or not I'd be too shy to approach anyone or if anyone would even approach me in the first place. But honestly, my experience so far, everyone has been super welcoming. Societies are definitely a great opportunity to meet new people, even if you're not from that specific culture, because again, culture is like something everyone can learn. People are also usually very open to sharing their traditions and learning about yours too. So my advice would just to be like, give it a shot. You might end up finding a very wonderful community like I did and making really good friends. Maybe attend a taster event or like a casual meetup first and see if you click with the people, because obviously it's not going to be something that you just immediately feel comfortable with.
I would just say don't be afraid to go to things alone. I know, especially at the start of term or when you first arrived, you might not have made that many friends yet, and going to these society events might feel very daunting, but everyone is very welcoming, and you will find people from different colleges studying different things, obviously people from all around the world. And being on a committee myself, I know one things committees do is they make sure to have a lot of icebreakers, or they keep the environment very welcoming, and they usually have like activities that make people like form groups or do things together. So you don't have to worry about like being in a room, being by yourself. That's not going to happen, trust me. And yeah, I would say just give it a go. Go there with an open mind. You never know who you're going to meet. Just do it.
Thank you for your amazing perspectives. And with that, we will call it a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully, we have reassured you that studying abroad doesn't mean you have to say goodbye to your culture. Until next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.